Greetings! I'm Roger Newbold, host for the Experience Photography's video podcast number 71, and welcome to Studio One North. I have to tell you, I'm sorry for my appearance today. I had 3 skin cancers cut out yesterday, and they left some pretty big divots in my face. So I'm bandaged up, and now I'm going to try out for the poster child for sunscreen. I'm sorry. Anyway, I want to introduce to you my great partner, my friend and splendid photographer and editor for this episode is Mr. Matt Rich. What are you creating today, my friend? Very good. Last episode we talked about why do we photograph? We examined some of the motives for making artistic photographs. One thing we learned is that we should live a charged life and build more emotion to our images and do it as often as possible. Now today, we'll probe into ways to build that charged image. Learn how to use emotions to think, not to think with your emotions. This is excellent advice from Robert Kalowski. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, but that's a great quote. And you probably ought to list that and remember it as a personal quote. Let's begin with a supremely important thought here. Content is king. What you photograph is eminently more important than how you photograph it. Select your materials matter so that it does matter. Ask yourself, why is this important to you and to the viewer? Decide what is the essence of what you want to say about the subject. With that defined, then we can move on to actually find out how to complete the task. You may wish to ask yourself, does this technique really make the content visually stronger? Does it express the story in a superior manner? Well, if not, try something different. Building emotion into a photograph requires that the photographer gives an impression of mood of some sort, melancholy, mystery, oomph, vigor, gusto. The definitions here are interesting. Mood, melancholy, and mystery. They're powerful words. They're emotional words. And that's exactly what is required from a good photographer, to add power. A powerful mood just doesn't happen by accident. Good photography is more than knowing how to use your camera. And important as that is, an unstated elementary requirement should always be requisite in your work, but is missed in too many ways. Is the subject defined by sharp focus? Is the depth of field placed correctly to reinforce that focused prominence of the subject? Check those things in your work. You would be surprised how many people neglect such important point as this. Mr. Otto, he can't just read your mind. So be very attentive to what your intentions are. Auto exposure, auto focus, auto composition just doesn't happen. You also need to understand of composition and light. Your photographs will get better and moodier as you appreciate the light quality and composition begins to grow deeper. There are principles you can learn to help create these moody photographs. And let's look at a few of them favorite things today. Shoot in low light to make moody photographs. This can be challenging, but the efforts are usually worth it. Consider this in reverse. What is the worst light you can take a photograph in? If your aim is to create mood, a bad place to start is bright midday sun, light in the middle of the summer. What mood does that reveal? That totally limits what you can do with such hard light and bright light. Well, it can happen, but perhaps not as often as we would enjoy. The mood almost always is harshness and loneliness in bright, stark light. So what is the opposite of that? Well, you've already guessed it. Low light. It's the type of light you can find both ends of the day when the sun is rising or setting, and we get those warm golden hours, which is more directional or steering. Think of the beauty of the soft sunlight breaking through the autumnal leaves at the end of a delightful day. Or it might be the blue light you get before the sun is up or just after it drops below the horizon. In dusk, those cooler light hours, it's soft, it's beautiful, it's subtle, ideal for portraits that sometime you might find in the open shade. So keep your eyes open to take time to develop your understanding of the nuances of light and the way light affects the moods of your photographs. You'll be rewarded by better images that evoke strong emotional responses from the viewer. Please look at this moody shot from Matt. This is the opening. It's from Matt's Southwest Gallery. You'll notice that Matt has sharply focused on the eroded crack in the Earth's surface. And the depth of field was adequately extended to make sure that the desired rendering happened. He waited for the boiling clouds to darken the sky, and that intensified the mood. He made sure in editing that the point of greatest contrast reinforced the subject in that gigantic gash. The colors were thoughtfully balanced to add the sense of mystery. There's no overwhelming color blast or indiscreet contrast hyping. Compositionally, you're directed to that image and left at the brink for added drama. It's a masterful job. Number 2, pay attention to the background. In a second photograph by Matt, it used a more enigmatic edge of darkness type of light to isolate the outstretched arms of the tree. The depth of field was curtailed in this shot to diminish the possible confusion from the background. Now, many photographs require f/16 or so, but not all of them can stand that much background intrusion. Beware that the less important details may weaken the image statement. Now, in this picture, look at the judicious highlights that sympathetically direct the viewer's attention to the important areas of the subject. Wow, soft contrast and harmonious hues supplement the mood completely. To thwart any graininess of image, he kept the ISO low, used a tripod to deliver sharp image of a multi-second exposure. Now the nuances come alive, and when you work with attentive intention, you just get that kind of stuff. View that photograph here, outstretched, from the Pacific States Gallery by Matt. Generating a special mood for a portrait requires many of the same considerations as we just discussed above. I captured one of the tranquil moments when our cat was not in one of his terrorizing explosions. In order to demonstrate the mood, I was able to use a very diffused window light for flowing softness. Now, you can diffuse the light. Any number of purchased items will work to do it. But a simple bed sheet or tracing paper over the window will work. A small LED table light will work. Look for open softness. Hold up your fist and identify how much contrast is revealed. Choose a lens focal length that does not intimidate the subject, or it doesn't smear his nose grease on your lens. Focus on the eyes and add depth of field to your liking. Now, in this picture of the cat, I used my favorite 85 millimeter, and I used it wide open at 1.8. This isolated the eyes, yet has sufficient shutter speed so that I can work without having to have a tripod, and boost the ISO up that I can handhold the camera fine. This mitigated the background completely. As you view the cat, you'll see Squidgy in his grumpy mood. Now, I borrowed the following black and white image of actor William H. Macy from briansmith.com. I wanted to show this stupendous portrait because it shows some real character. Above the general simple style of a happy snapshot, the background is almost non-existent except for a little dab of highlight over the shoulder. This kept Mr. Macy from smearing into total blackness. The main light came from the right side of the frame from a small flash head. Now, it was scarcely diffused as seen in the actor's eye reflections. The straight, slight diffusion kept the contrast in check without having, horrible shadows on his face. This was shot with a short telephoto lens between 85 and probably 135. It produced a natural rendered face with a great pizzazz. Now, the f-stop was stopped down quite a bit, probably to 8 or 11, and it gave full sharpness to his body and to his hair. A slight reflector from the lower frame left also helped tame the shadows. Portraits of family and friends can be used for fun, for parties. Just enjoy making portraits. Take a look at this picture of William H. Macy. I thought it was very good. Notice the background is dark and out of focus, and the dark tones are mysterious. The viewer must fill in the gaps with their imagination, and that adds mood. For best outdoor camera position, predict the weather from your phone, your TV, the Weather Channel, whatever. Catch the clouds and the light at the correct time of day. Just don't venture out in the lightning. No picture's worth your life. Now, we've seen that happen in other instances where lightning was very close, so don't do it. Compose for the mood of the subject. Find light that will feel and enhance your subject matter. Make the exposure. Compositional adjustments are necessary and you add them as you shoot. What we hope is the situation will improve, but it may not. So always get the first shot before the light disappears. Now you can wait for a bit. Dappled light, shafts of light, intriguing light, background light, anything that will help make your subject stand out and pop away from the background. Take a look at this lone tree. Since you are composing for the subject, remember, minimalistic subjects always disclose a mysterious and moody element as seen in that lone tree. But wait a second. What if the sky is in constant dull gray? It never gets good. It never gets cloudy. It never gets moody? Well, that's easy. Don't include the sky, or decrease the amount of sky that's revealed in the frame. Or fill the frame with something more important, more colorful. Look at this couple of pictures here below. In the waterfall and the orange shed. No sky in the waterfall. And look how the orange shed helped brighten up a dull day. Find the right light. Try converting a subject matter to black and white. It will frequently increase drama and mood. Use the tripod to slow shutter speeds down to minimize the action of a moving subject, like the water or windy fields, or up the ISO to halt action and get those cloudy skies or water. Man, a neutral density filter or a polarizer may also help provide long shutter speeds, which provides mysterious kind of a mood into the picture. One more thing I want to talk about. Check your histogram. Don't leave the subject location until you're certain that you have the best shot and it's the way you want it. Travel time and expense are the costliest mistakes one can make. An ounce of prevention is worth more than a superior Photoshop skill. Never clip the highlights. Adjust the exposure so the diagram or the histogram shows that the highlight point never stacks up on the right side of the histogram. Shadows can boost, but highlights that are trashed or overexposed will never ever come back, and they're totally irretrievable. Now, when you're editing, edit for mood. Images are always flatter on screen than they were at the time of capture. So almost everything is going to need a contrast boost of some sort. B, make sure the texture feels like what it's supposed to be. Adjust curves and contrast for that selected area. C, the eye goes to the point of most contrast or the lightest point in the photo. So burn and dodge carefully, or use whatever method you use to lighten and darken in your photograph. D, make certain to point the visual emphasis where you want it. Nothing's worse than a wonderful picture of a colorful southern Utah shot that is flat, drab, and boring. Add some color, add the contrast, make certain all the points are working together to illuminate it correctly. Edit well. Edit your images in your favorite software. Be certain they display properly in the image as something that was exciting, moody, and powerful. Now, our time has elapsed for today. Our friends, we encourage you to join with us. subscribe, ring that bell, give us a giant thumbs up. We have tried to offer suggestions that will help you manage your choices wisely. We anticipate that if you place yourself in a passionate, creative mood, you will capture cracking great images all the time. Seek to literally add infatuation and desire into your images. You'll never be disappointed. Get that mood into the picture. Well, Matt and I salute you. We thank you for watching and help us build value into our channel. So, until we meet here again on screen, a tip of my hat to you, and cheerio for now.